it is 6 o'clock. We will call the committee of the whole to order. The clerk would call the roll, please.
Mr. Hupkey.
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. March.
Here.
Mr. Ham.
Here.
Mr. Bowden. Here. Mr. Hack.
Here. We have the minutes of the May 22nd, 2017 Committee of the Whole in the packets. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? If not, a motion to approve as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion by trustee Jones, second by trustee Ham.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Ham.
Yes.
Mr. Bowden.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. March.
Present.
And Mr. Hupkey.
Present.
Public comment.
Yeah. I'm Adam Jones with Jones Real Estate here in town. This is Andy Zielinski, who also lives in town here, grew up here. Basically what we have is this building on the corner of Corning and First Street, just east of the post office. And what happened was, this is zoned business, but Peotone Bank owned that property 10 years ago. And then when First Midwest Bank took over, they ended up selling it. And we've been using it as a rental for the past 6 years. And there's a 2-bedroom apartment downstairs and a 1-bedroom upstairs. Well, the guy that owns it has decided to sell it, and Andy's interested in purchasing it. But in order to get financing, it's not a cash, well, according to financing, it's not a cash buyer. We either need to get a letter from the village saying that if the place were to burn down or get hit by a tornado and more than 50% damage, that it needs to be used, and they can rebuild it for the insurance as residential. Now that block is all zoned business, but there are 3 residential properties on that block. Another thing that's a little bit different about this is that Andy would be occupying the property in the beginning in the upstairs 1-bedroom unit, cleaning it up, remodeling it, make it nicer. And then if people downstairs were to move out once that's finished, they'd probably move down there, redo that unit, run up the upstairs, and make an improvement to the town. As it sits now, it's kind of an eyesore. Nothing's really been done to the outside. We've replaced some windows, but just everything can be improved on it for the benefit. I've talked to Greg a little bit, I've talked to Steve, I've talked to my dad, we're trying to find a plan. And when he was talking to the mortgage company, this is the solutions that they can come up with. And I don't think it really makes a difference to you which way if it gets rezoned or if you get a letter from the village. Basically, we're just looking for a solution so we can proceed forward with the sale of this property. My thoughts is that something has to be done or else the place is basically unsellable unless you have a cash buyer. And also, at the present time, it's a residential building. There's no other use you can use for it. So it's being used for highest and best use, which is the ultimate goal for any property. So without going planning and zoning out of the gate, or being on the board agenda, we decided to come here today to get your guys' thoughts and opinions if you had any questions or solutions to what we're looking for.
So was the person who bought it from First Midwest, was that a cash?
Yes.
It was, so that's why it never came up before.
Correct. And the house across the street, next to Bisbee Insurance, that was a recent transaction as well. That was a cash purchase, to my knowledge. The only one that it would come into play would be, I think the guy's name is Mr. Nagel. Nadler? Mr. Nadler. They got between the corner unit and what's the church now.
Right.
So you're saying there's 3 of the resident homes on that block, though? In the
Correct.
area?
Yeah, in the area that's zoned business.
It's just a matter of, and we've talked a little bit, about this, and we don't want to get into spot zoning. I mean, that's never a good thing. But is there a way around this, I don't know.
You have an ordinance that states if it's in a commercial district, it can stay as a non-conforming use. If it burns less than 50, or is destroyed less than 50%, they can rebuild it as a residential. If it's more than 50%, it has to be rebuilt as the zoning purpose, which is commercial. That's your ordinance. You have to do what you have to do. You can change your ordinance, but again, I wouldn't get into spot zoning because that's a dangerous thing to do.
And you're not the owner, right?
No, Derek Devinger, who owns the golf cart company at Route 50, he's the current owner of the place. I've been managing it for him.
Okay,
Are you got it listed as well, right?
Correct.
Okay.
yeah. It's just weird, the owner's not petitioning for this because it would increase the value of his building.
Yeah, I basically just took it on my own because I was familiar with all the different sides associated with it. And I've spoken with him.
Okay. So are you representing the owner, or are you representing yourself, or what's your role in this?
Well, it's a dual agent situation. Andy's my buyer and the owner as the seller. So
Okay.
I'm on both sides of the.
But the owner concurs with what you're asking for?
Yeah, he wants to get the place sold and move on and do something else. Another situation where this will most likely come up will be on the corner of 2nd and North Street, where Marion Chesser and her sister lived forever. First Community Bank owns that currently, to my knowledge, but that's also a 2-unit residential building, but there's nothing going on with there that I know of at this point in time.
So is the only way, something, we have the attorney here, would be to do something with the ordinance? We'd have to amend the ordinance. So that would affect
Every building.
every building. There's no way to do,
Can't do it just for one. It's not even a variable zoning. And if you go to change the zoning, you're talking about lawyer fees and things like that, and how much is the village willing to absorb for one piece of property? So, those are all considerations.
thoughts from the trustees?
Well, the way to cure it is that you find a cash buyer, right?
Yeah, which also probably cuts the price by 20%, maybe more.
I like where Pat was going, if the owner is not here to speak on his own behalf, he's the one that benefits the most.
I mean, anytime we can get a piece of property like this upgraded, you know, is definitely a benefit. But we don't want to open Pandora's box. And,
The best situation is owner occupied, which it would be.
right. Yes, sir. First, can you identify yourself for the record, please?
My name is Tim Thompson. I have seen people go to the insurance companies and subrogate their claim so that the loan would have to be paid off first. Because if you have a damage, fire burns the whole place down, it doesn't mean you have to rebuild that structure. You can take that money and go someplace else. So if the bank is happy with that, you might want to try that arrangement.
Yeah, I think we've looked into that a little bit, and I think if something were to happen, that would be the most likely scenario. And the chances of it actually burning down are like 1%.
Because if you have replacement cost, it's going to be more than enough to cover the mortgage. So that should satisfy the mortgage company. So if you get something from the insurance company, that might satisfy it. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, I agree with that, and we have looked into it, and this is basically the answer that they gave us, just to get to the initial phase. So
Are we even allowed to do it? It's being requested, we write a letter that means this.
Well, I don't think we can just write a letter. I mean, it's, that's just not going to work.
Right.
I think if we did anything, we would be getting into the ordinance. and
Create an
the-
ordinance for this one building.
Well, you can't create an ordinance, just that we would have to change the ordinance, and then that would affect every piece of property similar to this. And, those properties in that area, that area, not so much that area, but that area is, leans a little more commercial. Downtown, it definitely, leans more commercial. If one of the houses downtown would no longer be there.
And you'd have a handful on Route 50
Yeah.
as well. So it's something
So
that will come.
changing the ordinance, I don't think is an option. That's just not an option.
Could you rezone it and then zone it back, have an agreement? So once the financing went through,
Cannot spot zone. I am not going to jail.
even though you would change it back.
Yeah, it's just,
That's-
yeah. It's not good business.
So do we have any kind of solution or reasoning? I think there's got to be something that can be done. This isn't the first time this would have come up.
Yeah, we can speak to the attorney about it. It's the first time I've heard it, come up. But doesn't mean it hasn't came up before.
Sure.
I don't know what Tim was saying, how much weight that carries, but that sounds like,
Yeah, it's, the underwriting on these mortgage companies has gotten so strict.
Is he going for an FHA loan, is that why?
No, because we've explored commercial or conventional and FHA. So originally we're going we're going to go FHA route.
What kind of loan to value is he looking for?
Something 80-90%.
Okay, so that's why, because you can't get PMI to underwrite.
The mortgage company didn't give me the specific underwriting guidelines, they just said that,
If you're above 80%, you gotta get private mortgage insurance. They won't underwrite that way.
and I know on the email that's there, they did mention that the bank told the mortgage rep that a letter from the proper person at the village that just states that under my ownership, if something were to happen, then I would be able to rebuild it residential. That would allow us to not touch the zoning at all, keep everything the same, then I keep that letter. The truth is, one day, if I owned the property, I would hope to sell it to somebody for residential use.
For commercial use.
Or for commercial use, yeah. My hope would be to hold on to it until there's a need for that use and then sell it to somebody that would be looking to build a commercial building there and hope to return a little bit on my investment. But, they said that the easiest answer would be to produce some sort of they use the word special use letter or special use permit for the property that states that under my ownership, if it were to be deemed a total loss by the insurance company, that I would be able to rebuild it as a 2-unit residential building. It's all just formalities. As Adam said, it's really probably wouldn't be in my long-term plans of the property anyways, but the chances of us ever getting to that scenario are so slim, so.
I don't know if it's within our ability, to write such a letter. I don't know what kind of weight.
This is just, I'm not a lawyer, so
Right.
it's just my advice. You can't overwrite your own ordinance. You pass an ordinance. You have the rule. Change the rule, it opens it up for everybody. So that's kind of how it goes. And you got a historic district in some of that area downtown too. So you got to change, there's a lot of changes you have to do, and that's going to get expensive. Lawyers don't come cheap. So, but you can't just write a letter and say, we like this guy. Who don't you like? You know what I'm saying? Who's gonna be the first one that doesn't get the letter?
Right.
It's just like it's just like a fence variance. Who's gonna be the one that doesn't get it? You've approved one after another, and who's gonna be the first one that you say no to? That's kind of how, that's the exact same thing. So, but that's my best advice. You guys have to vote on that.
What I don't understand is, and maybe, I don't know, who knows, but why does the insurance company care if it's rebuilt as a residential unit or not?
Because they don't, most mortgage companies do not make loans on commercial units.
It's not the insurance, it's the mortgage.
Mortgage company.
Yeah.
I meant mortgage company,
So
why do they care?
the mortgage company is gonna turn to the insurance company and say, I wanna rebuild it as a residence, and the insurance company's gonna say, no, the town doesn't allow that, and the mortgage company's gonna say, no, I'm stuck.
Commercial rates are probably much higher.
Got it,
Yes,
Not subsidized by the
loan-to-values.
government.
got it.
so, that's why.
I learned something.
So the answer is, we don't have an answer.
It's the same answer I came with.
Yeah. Well, there's no magic bullet, I mean, it's zoned the way it's zoned, the ordinance exists the way that it exists. And without changing the ordinance and affecting every other piece of property in the community that is in the same position, I mean, that's the only way that we can fix this.
Right. And that number of units is, say, 10, maybe.
Right. But it's not in the best interest of the village to do
It
that
is, and it isn't.
in the long.
I mean, it's an improvement an immediate
Well,
improvement for the
that one
village.
building, yes.
For that one building, and most likely, anytime anybody's, well, one of the houses on around 50 would probably be owner occupied. It'd be very odd for somebody to purchase any of those as
There's
investment.
nothing that says that he can't do what he wants to do right now. This only states that if it burns or is destroyed more than 50%, that's the coin flip he has to take as a homeowner. If he wants to live in that kind of district, that's the coin flip he has to take.
Yeah.
This is the same way in Chicago, legal non-conforming, same deal, burns down more than 50%, away it goes. That's kind of just the way, it's just an old way of doing things, and I'm sure this ordinance is older than both of us, but that's the way they do them. Because they don't want to be switching districts just because of a fire or whatever. That's pretty much just commonplace. And there's not too many cities and towns that don't have that ordinance.
Yeah, I would just say that there's this scenario, this wouldn't be the first time this scenario would come up in a lot of smaller towns that are looking for improvement.
But they're looking for commercial too.
There's plenty of that.
We got plenty of that?
Plenty of space.
Commercial space.
Well, I mean, we can ask the lawyer when he gets here if he's got any ideas. Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I've often thought that, downtown, what if somebody wanted to like convert one of those empty buildings into loft apartments or, on the first floor too, but, that couldn't be done with our current ordinance. But, that could be something that might work downtown, so, that's something we'd have to change the ordinance to say that we allow it in that district, but I don't know.
So all of the houses that are in the business district, and most of them have been owner occupied for quite some time. I'm thinking Mr. Nadler, Mrs. Adamsick. When they got ready to sell those properties, they would have to sell them as commercial properties in order to sell
Unless
those.
they do a cash deal.
Unless-
Or somebody puts enough down or the mortgage company doesn't care.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, you can always find, in the mortgage business, you can always find a mortgage if you put enough down. That's the bank, and I'm surprised you don't go right back to the bank and talk to them. Because they're the ones that had the property, that's right across the street from them. Maybe they want to invest in the young man. I mean, the banks are the ones that have more flexibility because they can shelve a loan. If they're selling it on the secondary market, they got to follow all the rules. So, but if the bank is keeping a loan, they have a little bit more flexibility.
The First Community owns the bank on the corner, that duplex there, and that was a concern they had, I think, for selling it. And that,
Because they know the rules. They know what they run into.
yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that doesn't stop them from saying, give us 30% down and we'll carry the note.
But it would have to be a special deal, wouldn't it, to do that? Just because you put 30% down, a mortgage company's not gonna pick that up.
Mortgage company may not, but a bank might. Because again, they have the flexibility of doing things like that. If mortgage companies are selling to FHA or Fannie or Freddie, no, they have to stick within the rules. I'd go talk to Homestar.
Yeah, we've explored 3 or 4 different banks this time, and we're basically getting the same answer from each one. I do know that there are a few of them around here that will carry their own paper. You pay a premium for it.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, in my situation, I know this doesn't really matter too much, but the more money that I would have to put out to get the building would be the less amount I'd have to put into the building to better the property. You
No,
know.
I mean, it's not that we don't want to see you get it, it's not that we don't want to see it improve. It's just, we're kind of hand-tied,
Yeah.
you know, about what we can do,
Yeah.
you know, in that regard.
So, the way I understand it is that you talk to the attorney and see if he knows of any options that we may have. And if he doesn't, then continue to explore different options for types of financing. Was there any other hindrances that we could run into?
No, I mean, that's your own, it's not even a hindrance at this point. If he buys the property and gets a mortgage, he still can live in it as it is today. Your hindrance comes in if it burns, or if it's destroyed, tornado,
Right.
whatever it might destroy it more than 50%. And don't forget, that 50% is subject to the insurance company calling it more than 50% too. They're not always real anxious to do that.
Sure. All right.
I mean, the gentleman that came in is right about that. If you do it on replacement cost, chances are you never get to 50%. Unless it goes all the way down.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys.
And,
Good luck, guys.
good luck.
Thanks. All right, general discussion.
We doing anything with the new building yet? Are we moving in, or?
Boys have been working on the tree program and getting their sidewalk. They got all their little summertime activities, so they're doing things slowly. I would imagine you won't see a whole lot of activity.
Yeah, fall's going to be the big push time.
They got a lot of things going on right now.
Quite a few projects.
Is the fire department still helping with the water banks?
As far as I know, that's the last I knew.
It looked like they've been kept full.
Yeah, yep.
Trees look good. Yeah. They do.
Flowers look good downtown.
Flowers look good, those pots started to come.
Is that the way they're facing, because if we were facing the sidewalk, is there any way that they could face next time, I keep getting to ask Bob and I keep forgetting.
The street.
Not the street, but even just sideways so they're more visible?
90 degrees.
Yeah. I mean, you can see them if you're walking down the sidewalks, but if you're driving down the street, they don't really jump out at you. I was thinking if they were to the side, you know, they would be more visible.
Even if you turn them, I don't think it gets in the way of his
There was
flags or anything.
there was some reason why he said he couldn't have them facing the street. I don't remember what it was.
I'll look at it.
But, I mean, just next year. I mean,
Moments has got theirs on the side, like you're talking about.
what's that?
Moments has got theirs
Do they?
on the side. I mean, ideally, they should be in the street.
Right.
Because of the
Well, if we
flag.
can, I mean, if we can, and I think that was the reason why he said he couldn't go to work the street was because of the flags.
We're
But even to
also,
the side, I think it would be more visible, you know, than to the sidewalk.
we're also pre-ordering next, we didn't get the pre-order this year, but next year we're gonna pre-order, they're gonna be there.
Yeah. This was our first attempt, you know, and I think they turned out really nice. They did a good job. Good job. done a good job of watering and keeping them alive too.
Yeah. The landscaping's all completed at Welcome to Peotone sign?
Looks good.
What do we do to pursue having those lit? Last time we talked about trenching it and putting a light on them at night. What's the process for that?
We can just budget for it, and then
I think
decide
they-
how we want to light them.
I think they said FS was willing to let us have power, and
Oh,
we'd
really?
have to get power from Pearl. Somehow. Depends on how far we have to trench.
Right.
We might be able to get power from the ComEd pole there too.
The other conversation was solar instead of, as opposed to, I don't know, how much more expensive or
Who
less.
pays the electric? Like if we come off a ComEd pole, do we pay the electric or do they pay it or
We would pay it.
we pay it?
I mean, you kind of hope that they forget about it and say, there's not that much, and they won't ever send you a bill, but if they do, you gotta pay it, obviously, so.
Do they put a meter on?
No, they have a way of figuring, they're all computerized, and they have a way of figuring every light and what its amps are every month and everything, and if it goes up an amp, that had to be the sign. It's more of an assumption thing.
Okay.
Or they'll just give you a flat rate,
Wouldn't cost much
Hopefully we
for
can talk them into doing
The
that.
halogen bulb,
Right.
or LED, I mean.
No, I think we should work on getting a price. I mean, that way we can,
But if we can get it from Edison and it's free, or maybe free, or get,
Well, we can always ask, I mean, Edison sometimes surprises you, it really does. Especially since you don't go to the well that often, I mean, you guys really don't go to the well that often with them and asking for stuff,
if they say, okay, do they put it in?
No, they won't do that.
You have-
You have to put it in. What they'll do is they'll supervise the hookup to make sure that you don't blow out their pole, but, yeah.
I mean, I think we can go forward and get some pricing on it and see if we can find, the money in the budget, or, like I said, else, budget for it next year.
Yeah.
I think definitely it'd be nice to have them lit up.
Yeah, how deep does that have to be when you trench that?
You gotta go below the frost line, right?
4 feet.
So 36 inches.
36 inches, I think, yeah.
Or if FS would agree to it, and McDonald's would agree to it, and Jim Bolt would agree to it.
Well, now's the time to hit McDonald's. He's bringing in permits to redo his whole facility over there, so.
Yeah, somebody,
I don't mind asking Larry Lindman for anything.
didn't we talk about solar lights too?
Yeah, we did, that's what,
Have you had any experience with that over in Frankfurt? None.
No. I can ask the contractor next to the shop. See
I
what
just
he
don't know if
says.
they're bright enough, unless you have like a big panel, that might not look that great, I don't know. Might be more expensive you'd have to look into it, I guess.
I was talking to Steve Maltese, he put a couple in at a place he has in Michigan, and he said he can't believe how bright they are.
Oh.
They're like on a pellet. And I bought some of them at Menards where you put they had on the lamp post just as a thing. They glow, but they don't put out any light, but they're only
Right.
$50 or something.
It depends on what you spend, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got one on my flagpole. It spins with the flag, and it's pretty bright.
do you want to do some checking on that, Kevin? Be good?
Speaking of ComEd poles, I talked to Bob Barber, who's the village administrator over at Beecher, because I drove through there, on Route 1, they've got flags, American flags on all poles going through town. And I asked them, I said, did you, ask or you just put them up there? And they just put them up. And so, I'd like to see us budget, some money to do that next year. I was, it seems to me like for, 50 or 75 bucks, you can get a pretty, bracket and a flag. You wouldn't leave them up, all year, but maybe from Memorial Day to Labor Day or something like that, so. just something to keep in mind, and we can talk at Public Works meeting next time.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yep.
And he also, just to kind of bring up, like, when I was talking to him, they also have a couple of crosswalks with the flashing lights that we kind of talked about, you know, like if we ever get a sidewalk on the other side of Wilmington Road, you know, we want to do something to be able to get kids, you know, across the road. And he said that they just, they did that through the, what do they call it?
Safe Routes to School.
Safe Routes to Schools grant. So they ended up paying 20 or 30%, I think the government paid the rest. So I think that's just something for us to keep in mind when we want to.
It's part of the
Go
stoplight
that
was
route.
through a Safe Routes to School grant.
So.
The railroad crossing on Peotone, Wilmington, there's like asphalt all over the place. Anybody see that?
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Is it really?
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's rough.
I don't know if they tried
It's like
to
a-
fix it or something,
I don't
but
know if a
it's,
truck lost part of a load or something.
I don't know
but
what happened.
Really?
I know it's not our jurisdiction, but is there someone we can call?
We'll call the railroad, yeah.
Well, it's I mean, but it also got spread out like on the
It's down to the fair
Wilmington
entrance.
Road and West Street.
Oh,
you know,
really?
Right along there.
Was that just today?
Over the
No, it was
weekend.
over the weekend.
Really?
At first, I thought maybe the railroad threw something on there to try, because it's such a rough crossing, I thought maybe they tried to patch it or something, but like I said, I don't know, maybe it bounced out of a truck or
It's
something.
maybe one of the trucks that's working on the highway.
Maybe, yeah,
Oh, yeah, probably is it.
but maybe, maybe call the county,
County,
see if they would
yeah.
clean it up, or,
Okay.
I mean, so when it's our jurisdiction, right at,
Well, that's a county, it's a county road, so
but I mean, so West Street, you know, right at the,
that's
it's
ours. Trying to think if I've driven through there.
I haven't gone through
I don't think I've
Yeah, they
driven
got
through there.
tracks all the way down to the fair entrance.
Contact the county road.
It's on one.
Yeah.
Have to drive
It
out.
would be westbound was the major,
I know they were working there this morning.
maybe it's been cleaned up since.
I don't know if they're digging more holes or what over there, but they had it all blocked off this morning.
about 50.
Yeah, they had you down to one
Yeah,
lane each way
yeah,
this morning,
yeah.
so.
I'm amazed, there had been some accidents out there. I went to
It's not a very good way of directing traffic, I can tell you that. They're just some little cones and
I went to turn right out of the fire, or coming down Crawford, I got to the fire pit, and I didn't know which lane,
yeah.
You're supposed to be in.
and there was nobody doing it, so I'm waiting until somebody's coming the other way, so.
Yeah, you're not alone. I've seen a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
I did that this morning coming off of Howard Street. It was kind of a guess.
Yeah.
I don't know when
Head
they're
on
paved,
this.
but
We're gonna resurface the whole thing?
yeah, they're coming all the way up from Mantino to County Line Road.
Monita County.
Or Monita County.
If the budget passes, yeah. Or they'll shut it down.
It's really working.
Guess what? I don't think that's gonna pass. And the other thing we have to worry about is our
They're gonna resurface.
About what?
And then they're gonna tear it up.
Our
Well, what they're doing now, they're
Base repairs.
If you,
They'll have to tear
if you
it
have
up there,
your-
yeah, oh yeah, at that
If
intersection.
you have your state rep's phone number, call them. And tell them to stay away from our LGDF and our property tax. If they tax cap and take away the LGDF and your income tax money, and your MST, I don't know how we're gonna pay for that. That's about a good 53-54% of our budget. And you got both sides just fighting each other, seeing who could take away the most. And the town is the one's taking the chin. Not to mention their mandated pensions and things like that they pass along to the towns. And, oh, by the way, they're gonna want you to catch up on loans too. I don't know how you're gonna do it, but that's what they want. So if you know your rep, or if you have any contact with your rep, call them. State senator, Toy Hutchinson
Lindsay Parkhurst.
and Lindsay Parkhurst. Give them a holler.
Tell them specifically what.
Tell them to stay away from our LGDF, our local distributive fund, and our income tax, and our MFT money, and no tax caps on the property taxes. And I know why they're doing the tax cap on the property taxes, because they're trying to keep the schools in line, but that they haven't figured out that hurts every other taxing body along with that, so. I can't believe I'm saying that, allow taxes to go up. You've got no choice.
How does Indiana get by with such low property taxes?
Well, they actually spend the money on the schools from their lottery. Have you seen some of the schools in Indiana?
Yeah, they're awesome.
They are awesome.
They also centralize them too.
They
don't
do a
have-
lot of centralization, and they don't have all the townships and the taxing bodies that we have. But, yeah, their schools are funded by that lottery. And, I mean, if a school's 8 years old and it's got problems, they'll abandon it and build a new one, because that's how much money they get from that lottery.
That's where our Illinois
That's
lottery
where
was
it's
supposed to go
supposed to
when
go.
they got it
Yeah.
passed.
Yeah.
Did it last a year?
Indiana actually does it. And I've been in some, I mean, there's some fantastic, that high school in Mishawaka's got 5 baseball fields lit. I mean, it's gorgeous, it really is. You know, so that's where that comes from. So the schools therefore don't pass along, it's 1% of your property tax is 1% of your value, so that's what your tax is. So that's why they're so low. And they don't go service crazy in Indiana either. You know, they plow the roads and they do the basic stuff, but they don't, you know. If a town wants to build a water park, it's all on their dime. They don't get the tax extra for it, they don't, you know, they have to be able to afford to do it, so. And if I'm not mistaken, there's no competition for sales tax either. It all goes into one pot and gets split up for the whole state. So Crown Point can't take Myers away from Lowell, and Lowell hurt because Myers went to Crown Point. It all goes into one pot and it's split up that way. So.
Anything else? Any other discussion for the committee of the whole? If not, a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by trustee March, second by trustee Jones.
Mr. Murch?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Bowden?
Yes.
Mr. Ashford?
Yes.
The regular village board meeting will convene